Right now on a special edition of To the Point. New year, new laws. From a stricter bag ban.
As soon as you get halfway out of the store, they rip.
To regulating AI.
What will be the right answer? Only history will tell.
Capping drug prices.
We've had patients who have made the choice to forego their insulin because they didn't have the money to pay their copays.
And cracking down on ICE.
States cannot govern the actions of federal agents. And this is exactly what California is trying to do.
What new 2026 laws could impact you? Thank you for joining us for a special edition of To the Point. I'm Alex Bell, and state lawmakers passed hundreds of bills in 2025, with Governor Newsom signing nearly 800 of them into law. So over the next half hour, our team is breaking down some of the biggest day-to-day impacts that these laws will bring in 2026. And we start with the escalating war on plastic in California. Those thicker plastic bags that we get in stores are being banned. ABC 10's Jenny Huh explains why.
When you're at a grocery store, you may bring your own bag or pay 10 cents for a reusable plastic bag like this one. Starting next year, even these will be banned.
Plastic's easier to carry, but these bags are pretty sturdy.
I have more bags than you guys have, I think, anywhere. Just recycling.
They're like backup for you?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, if I forget them.
Come January 1st, 2026, grocery stores, pharmacies, liquor stores, and convenience stores won't be able to distribute plastic bags. Stores will still offer paper bags for 10 cents, though those under food assistance programs will be exempt. And by 2028, these bags must be made from at least 50% recycled materials.
I don't necessarily think that those types of bags are as sturdy, so I think it's just going to be more of a pain. So I pretty much just bring my own bags to do my shopping.
As long as they're thick enough. You get the cheap ones, and as soon as you get halfway out of the store, they rip.
These changes are a result of Democratic State Senator Catherine Blakespear's Senate Bill 1053, which was signed into law in 2024.
The plastic bags at grocery stores are just not necessary. But those single-use plastic bags, they are single-use. I mean, that's how we use them.
Blakespear says the initial state ban on single-use plastic bags, which Californians voted into law in 2016, left a loophole.
The bag manufacturers got around that by distributing plastic bags that were double the thickness of plastic, and they were considered to be recyclable and reusable. But the reality is that in California, nowhere recycled them, and almost nobody was reusing them.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta launched an investigation in 2022 into major plastic bag producers and reached a settlement in October, finding their bags did not meet the state's recyclability requirements. SB 1053 was opposed by Republican senators, one of whom say reducing plastic usage in California won't solve the greater problem.
It was overkill. We are doing a great job of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and having absolutely no impact on greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So we're going to inconvenience consumers with regard to how they can take groceries home.
The new law will not impact these compostable plastic produce bags. Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
Renewable energy was a big conversation in Sacramento in 2025. Solar incentives caused a showdown at the state capitol. For months, people protested a bill that would have cut solar contracts involving net metering, making some bills more expensive. While the lawmakers' push did not survive, it's changes at the federal level that will have a major impact on new solar installs in 2026. Federal incentives to build new solar panels are now gone. The credit has been a big part of why so many families are being able to go solar. Here's what our neighbors, the state of Nevada, has to say about its impact.
30% tax credit, that's almost a third of the cost of a solar installation, which on average can be anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000.
And if you are interested in going solar, there are still other incentives in California, but you definitely will need to do your research. With the new year, there is still no news on any new electric vehicle tax credits. Congress ended the $7,500 federal tax credit in the fall. Governor Newsom said in the past that California would restart a state EV rebate if the federal incentive was killed, but no further announcements have been made. Depending on your income and location, other incentives might still be around. And there are new rules for landlords in 2026. Rental units must now include a working stove and refrigerator. Previously, the law said units must have things like working heat and hot water to be considered safe and livable. Assembly Bill 628 also requires a landlord to repair or replace a stove or refrigerator that is subject to recall by the manufacturer within 30 days of receiving the recall notice. Under the new law, the tenant could choose to provide and maintain their own refrigerator if the landlord agrees. Now, some housing types like permanent supportive housing do not have to follow the new law requirements. And now to the debate over drug prices. For years, some diabetics have had to choose between insulin or paying the bills. Diabetes can become a matter of life and death for people who can't afford the drug. A new state law is hoping to ease the burden for millions. Starting on January 1st.
SB 40 will go into effect and it will cap insulin copays at $35 a month.
The new bill, authored by Senator Scott Wiener and signed by Governor Gavin Newsom into law, will no longer allow health insurance companies in California to charge more than $35 for a 30-day supply of insulin.
We've had patients who have made the choice to forego their insulin because they didn't have the money to pay their copays. It's very disappointing.
Under the new law, copays, coinsurance, deductibles, all combined can't exceed $35 per month's worth of insulin. For many, insulin costs have continued to increase through the years.
There are people who really struggle with the cost of insulin, and they sometimes ration insulin, or they have to choose between insulin and food or paying rent, and no one should have to do that.
If this impacts you or a loved one, here are the details that you need to know about the new changes. Insurers can't make you pay your deductible first for insulin, meaning no more paying hundreds of dollars out of pocket before coverage kicks in. The new law only applies to people under private insurance and depends on your plan. Only state-regulated health insurance plans, such as Covered California, Kaiser, Anthem, Blue Shield, Health Net, just to name a few, are eligible. Starting January 1st, 2026, the new cap will go into effect for large group health service plans. On January 1st, 2027, is when the new cap will begin for small group healthcare service plans. Californians can also buy low-cost state-branded insulin in 2026. The state's prescription medication program, CalRx, says 3 milliliter pens are being sold in 5 packs for no more than $55. And a new year means a new minimum wage increase. The statewide minimum wage in 2026 is $16.90 per hour for all employees. That is among the highest state-level minimum wages. 20 states still use the federal minimum of $7.25 per hour. That means California's statewide floor is more than double the minimum wage in those states. Coming up, a mask ban is going into effect for law enforcement, what it means for the agencies involved, plus the legal challenges underway. And regulating AI, the new rules for major California tech companies and the support behind them. But first, here are some other laws going into effect in 2026. The gig economy. Uber and Lyft workers can now form and organize unions for collective bargaining. The new law also establishes the business standards needed for a union to be formed. In a compromise, Governor Newsom signed an additional measure that cuts the company's insurance requirements for accidents. Cat declawing. California has enacted a statewide ban on declawing cats. The new law ends the practice except when medically necessary due to long-term pain and mobility risks to pets. A similar ban is in effect in other states. And when it comes to college admissions, qualified California high school students will now be automatically admitted to California State University schools. It means they'll no longer have to go through the lengthy application process for CSUs. Qualified students must still apply to receive an official letter of acceptance, but it will be a shorter process with a website where students can choose their school directly. Welcome back to a special edition of To The Point, looking at new laws in 2026. 2025 saw an increase in immigration detention activity, according to a research group associated with UC Berkeley Law School. The government arrested about 220,000 people in the 9 months since President Donald Trump took office. In California, that has led to countless protests. President Trump federalized the California National Guard over the summer and deployed the Guard to Los Angeles as protests over ICE raids intensified. You might remember these videos going viral. The summer of protests started after ICE conducted large-scale raids at businesses in the Fashion District and at Home Depot locations. In the summer in South Sacramento, a Home Depot parking lot was surrounded by masked agents. U.S. Border Patrol told ABC 10 11 people were arrested in this operation. Since then, lawsuits have been filed that include the ACLU and United Farm Workers. Because of the immigration enforcement this year, Senate Bill 627 became law, banning law enforcement officers from wearing masks while on the job. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen explains what this looks like and why local officers in the state believe this will hinder their job.
He's my husband, and he's a U.S. citizen. Why are you doing this?
It's these incidents over the course of 2025 that inspired Democratic State Senator Scott Wiener to introduce Senate Bill 627.
Local and federal law enforcement will be prohibited from wearing these extreme masks that cover their identity.
SB 627, the anti-masking law.
Signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom, the bill becomes law starting January 1st, 2026. Senator Wiener says it aims to address the recent immigration raids that have been happening statewide, prohibiting local and federal law enforcement from wearing masks that cover their faces.
It's just terrifying to see ICE agents and other federal agents running around with these ski masks on. You can't tell who they are. You don't even know if they're law enforcement, and they're just grabbing people and putting them in the unmarked cars.
California Highway Patrol officers are exempt, as well as certain undercover operations or medical incidents that require officers to wear masks.
Law enforcement agencies are required to adopt policies to reflect the law. Officers or agents who violate the law can be cited for a misdemeanor.
The Peace Officers Research Association of California, or PORAC, is an open critic of the new law. In September, PORAC sent Governor Newsom a 9-page letter asking him not to sign the bill. Now, PORAC's president Brian Marvel says he's cautioning law enforcement.
If they wear a mask during enforcement activities, that they're going to be personally liable and open them up to potential litigation. So they need to be cautious until their departments can create a policy or procedure regarding the masks.
Marvel questions how effective it will be targeting federal operations.
States cannot govern the actions of federal agents, and this is exactly what California is trying to do.
In November, the Department of Justice sued the state of California, calling this an unconstitutional attempt to regulate federal law enforcement officers, adding that federal officers have been faced with threats. ABC 10 asked the DOJ if it plans on asking a judge for a restraining order to delay the implementation of the mask ban, but a spokesperson did not provide further comment.
We also asked Attorney General Rob Bonta for an update on the lawsuit status. We have not heard back as of yet. As the Trump administration's immigration crackdown continues, a new law in 2026 will allow parents to more easily designate trusted adults as temporary caregivers. The law aims to expand authorization of who can become a child's caregiver and make the process easier. Here is the lawmaker who authored the bill explaining what it would do.
It creates a new temporary joint guardianship in probate court to ensure that families can select someone they know and love and trust to care for their child, to care for that child in the event that they are absent.
Hundreds of people rallied outside the state capitol as this bill, known as the Family Preparedness Plan Act, made its way through the state capitol. Some opponents compare the law to a, quote, child trafficker's and kidnapper's dream, worried that the language is not specific enough to which children this impacts. The California Family Council, a Christian-based public policy organization, says that there is a system that is already in place.
But we already have something in place for this called the CPS. Like, if a child is left alone, you call the police calls social services, the child is picked up, and then a court will decide who best to take care of the child.
The California Family Council says they requested changes be made to the affidavit involved in this process. Still ahead, regulating AI, why California will be the first state to do it, with at least one major tech company supporting the change. And later, from the pump to the polls, how oil drilling and gas prices could ignite a political showdown in 2026. Welcome back to a special edition of To The Point. As we look at some new laws coming in 2026, there will be some changes coming to public schools. Take a look at this. Here are 3 things that you need to know about. AB 3216 addresses school phone policies. All public K-12 schools in California must implement policies that limit or ban student phone usage by July 1st, 2026. When it comes to school lunches, AB 1264 starts the process of banning ultra-processed foods. California is the first state to do this. Schools must ban the, quote, most harmful processed foods by 2035. And by July 2026, SB 760 requires all public K-12 schools in California to provide at least one all-gender restroom. And now to a major change for artificial intelligence companies that are based in California. Under a new law, companies like Anthropic, Google, Meta, and OpenAI will be required to implement and disclose publicly safety protocols. The goal is to show what is being done to prevent their most advanced models from being used to cause catastrophic risks or mass disruption, things like hacking into grids and systems. The bill is the first of its kind. It defines a catastrophic risk as something that would cause at least $1 billion in damage or more than just 50 injuries or death. Companies also have to report to the state any critical safety incidents within 15 days. The law also creates whistleblower protections and public cloud for researchers. It includes a fine of $1 million per violation. And this is putting California and the White House at odds. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh explains the ongoing debate over these safety regulations.
It's a debate over state versus federal authority when establishing AI regulations.
I think nobody's going to be right. Honestly, I think we got to do something. But what will be the right answer? Only history will tell.
That's tech expert Robert Miles with Grapevine MSP. Miles says the dilemma over how to make AI safer was inevitable, like the internet boom.
The government didn't do a great job of regulating that. It's been an open world.
There's growing movement to monitor social media and AI platforms, especially when it comes to protecting kids online. Lawmakers are also trying to hold tech giants like OpenAI, the founder of ChatGPT, and Meta, the owner of Facebook and Instagram, more accountable. But the big question remains, who gets to set the rules?
If we put too many regulations in 50 different states, that might stifle and slow our abilities to get to the new AI.
That's President Trump's stance, one federal standard. Trump is considering an executive order that would create a task force to challenge and do away with state AI laws and could penalize states by withholding federal funding. He's also supporting a move by Republicans in Congress to put a moratorium on state and local AI rules as part of the annual National Budget Defense Authorization Act. A push earlier this year for a 10-year moratorium failed.
But if the federal government isn't going to be as aggressive as states like California, then a lot of major states, including ours, are going to fight against that national standard.
And that's the other side of the debate. This past legislative session, California passed a historic package of online safety laws, including Senator Scott Wiener's SB 53. Governor Newsom says it helps fill the gap left by the federal government and could even become a model for the rest of the country. And that underscores just how complex and high stakes this debate really is.
And these are the folks who are inventing it and know the product way better than all of us, and definitely better than a lawmaker. And they won't agree.
California's state and federal representatives have already voiced opposition to the congressional moratorium. Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
California's new AI legislation has become more welcome by California's congressional Democrats and AI companies. The company Anthropic, behind the chatbot Claude, endorses the law. Anthropic co-founder Jack Clark said, quote, "The bill, we have long said we would prefer a federal standard, but in the absence that this creates a solid blueprint for AI governance that cannot be ignored." Coming up, is oil drilling making a comeback? What could happen next year as the debate grows inland and off our coast? Political debates are expected to heat up in 2026. We will be watching what happens with the oil drilling debate offshore and inland. In late 2025, the Trump administration released a new 5-year drilling plan. For the first time in decades, California's federal waters could be tapped. You can expect any announcement on this to be fought in court. Meanwhile, California's gas refineries are central to the state's fuel supply, with Phillips 66 shutting down its facility in Southern California, and Valero is expected to close its refinery in the Bay Area. There are fears of spiking prices at the pump. While there is a debate on whether or not they play a key role in shaping California's gas prices, we know that gas prices, as history shows us, are a major talking point on the campaign trail. The midterms are just around the corner, and we'll be watching where that debate goes as well. For a longer list of new laws in 2026, make sure you head to abc10.com. And if you have something that you think me and the team should be looking into, you can always email us at tothepoint@abc10.com.
Well, hundreds of new laws are set to take effect on January 1st, and they include new guidelines on the road.
ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Hudd joins us now with an explanation of what drivers should keep in mind as we head into the new year. Jenny.
From laws strengthening accountability for drunk drivers to those protecting cars stranded on highways, there's a lot you might want a heads up on.
This will save lives.
This, the goal of California's many new traffic laws hitting the roads January 1st. What Doug Johnson with AAA of Northern California is referring to expands the existing slow down, move over law, which
requires drivers to change lanes or slow down significantly for stationary emergency vehicles, tow trucks, and road maintenance vehicles when their lights are flashing.
To all drivers.
In that situation where you're broken down and you're up on the shoulder, you might think, oh, well, I'm safe, I'm not in the lane of traffic, but it's actually one of the most dangerous places you can be.
Johnson says drivers can be fined up to $1,000, especially repeat offenders. According to AAA, California ranks second in the nation for deaths outside disabled vehicles.
Get over as far as you can to the shoulder of the road and stay in your vehicle until a tow truck can come help you.
The CHP says enforcement is typically like,
so if we see any vehicles that come through the construction zone at an unsafe speed, or they weave in through the cone pattern or go through some of these closures, then we're able to make these stops on these vehicles and take appropriate action.
Another traffic topic often of concern, driving under the influence. Starting January 1st, offenders who take someone's life will receive up to 3 to 5 years of probation as part of their sentencing instead of 2.
Most people, 51% of Americans, do support lowering the drinking limit from 0.08 to 0.05.
Off the highways, electric bicycle safety is priority. The new law states all types of e-bikes, pedal or motor run, must have a red reflector or flashing light in the back at all times, not just at night.
The uptick in crashes associated with not only bicycles, but e-bikes now, and also scooters. And this is in hopes that there will be more visibility.
And there's one convenient new law. You will be able to request a duplicate driver's license to change your address as long as you immediately destroy the old license with the old one as well. Now, current law only allowed for duplicates if you had lost your license.
Tonight, a California law is changing how high school seniors get into college. Starting in the new year, thousands of students will be automatically admitted into the California State University system.
It's meant to cut down on stress and paperwork and open doors across the state. ABC 10's Garshpal Sangha explains.
On the Sac State campus, one of the CSU schools taking part, California is changing how students are accepted to college. A process made easier. Qualified California high school students will automatically be admitted into the CSU system in the new year.
I was super happy to see that.
For Jada Lewis, a Florence High senior, words like experience and excel are no longer just a slogan, but a preview of what comes next.
Take the chance, because it's definitely right there.
Jada learned the new law means she's already been admitted to 16 CSU campuses, including Sac State, CSU Northridge, and Cal State LA, her top choice, because it keeps her close to family.
This is going to be a game changer for us California students because now we have more options and that takes a lot of stress off of us.
Students can also apply to 6 campuses with already high enrollment, including San Diego State and Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, though admissions there isn't guaranteed this time around. State Senator Christopher Cabaldon introduced the bill, building off programs he helped launch when he was West Sacramento's mayor to help high school students go to community college.
SB 640 takes that local example from my own community and CSU's pilot program and scales them to make them possible statewide.
Lawmakers say it's also a way to boost enrollment at campuses seeing sharp declines, while keeping more students in California.
We have so many CSU campuses in particular that are experiencing precipitous declines in enrollment to the point of threatening their viability.
That's the policy This is the payoff.
Well, that's definitely a game changer for me because it's right there. The opportunity is right there.
And this is just the start. State officials say the direct admissions program will expand again in fall of 2027 to reach more students and campuses statewide. Reporting from Sac State, Garch Paul Sunga, ABC 10.